Hello, grade 8. I am happy to be with you once more. Now, it's been a while I haven't got the chance to be with you. Yes, how have we been? Good? All right. Have we done any reading? All right, we've discovered any new information with the topics in which we've covered. All right, I trust that you have been reading over your notes and practicing it. Yes. Now I'm happy, as I said, to be with you today, and indeed I want for you just to take about 15 seconds, right? Which you should have done so already, and get everything that you need. So your pens, your pencils, whatever it is that you need for this session. Awesome. So we are going to get started. We're going to jump right into our session. Yes? Any questions, any concerns that we have? No questions, no concerns? Okay. So I'm going to share with you my screen. All right, so I'm going to share with you my screen, and we are going to place our attention on our specific objectives. Now, just before I show you the objectives, what do you think our topic will be for today? Any idea? What do you think we will be talking about today? Parts of speech. Okay. We're going to revise simple and complex sentences again. Not at all, but awesome job. I love the fact that you tried. Yes, you've tried. Awesome. Now let's go to our specific objectives. Now, by the end of this lesson, or by the end of this session, you should be able to explain the term figurative devices, right? You should be able to define metaphors. What should you be able to define? Awesome. Metaphors. And you should be able to describe how metaphors are used in writing, identify metaphors in writing, and finally create poem using metaphors. So those are our specific objectives that we will be paying attention to. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my board. So let me get my board. All right, so I'm going to draw my chart. I trust that my drawing will be well. All right, so as I am drawing the chart, I want for you to think about metaphors, right? We're looking at metaphors. So go ahead and think about it. What do you know about it? What do you want to know? Right? So we're dealing with our KWL chart, and we are focusing on metaphors. All right, so what do you know about metaphors? When we talk about metaphors, what's the first thing that jumps out at you? What is that first thing? All right, so let me get this straight. So it compares all right, without the use of. So you're saying it compares without the use of what? like, and as. Okay, anything else? Anything else? You're saying it is similar to, all right, let me write that. It is similar to simile, okay. It is similar to simile. That's SIMILE. As they both compares, all right? Compares, all right. Anything else? An example, go ahead and share the example. So let me put example here. Go ahead and share your example. Her heart, okay. Full stop, her heart. HEART, her heart. Is pure, PURE, gold. All right, anything else we want to add? Anything else we know about metaphors? Do we know anything else? No? Yes? All right, so what do you want to know? What do you want to know? Okay. When to use it? All right, when to use. When to use it. And you know that we're talking about metaphors, right? How? Okay, you're saying how to use it. All right, so how to use it. Someone is saying you want to know what is, okay. Let me just put my correct punctuation mark. All right, you're saying you want to know what? Okay, what is the importance of it? So what is the importance of metaphors? Okay, what is the importance of metaphors in our writing? Okay, so what is the importance, TANCE, importance of it, in our writing? All right, so anything else we want to know? Anything else we need to find out? No? Yes? All right, not a problem. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I'm going to allow you to do a mini quiz for me. So I'm going to put my timer on for 5 minutes. Yes? So I'm going to put my timer on for 5 minutes. So let me stop sharing the screen and get my timer up. All right? So you're going to do this for me. All right. I'm going to share my screen with you once more. So my 5 minutes timer with all right, so I need to stop this timer here. Not sure what's happening. All right. right, so let's go. I'm going to share this with you. As I said, I'm giving you 5 minutes to complete the task, right? So here goes. I think the screen is sharing. All right, the internet sometimes it acts up. Nonetheless, we're on the right path. So go ahead and work this for me. Number 1. All right, I think I love the timer with the music there, right? The countdown. So I'm gonna put it back at 4 minutes. Right. All right, so let's continue working. All right, so I'm watching you, Daniel and Ariel. All right, go ahead. Jaquan, Shakori, good. All right, go ahead. I see you're coming on, Elizabeth. Awesome. So Elizabeth, Miriam, Shadeen. All right, go ahead. The timing here, you have 3 minutes, 24 seconds. All right, I'm watching you there, Daniel. Yes, I'm seeing, I'm observing. So you have about 2 minutes to go, all right? So we have 1 minute and couple seconds remaining. How are you coping? All right, go ahead. let's see the time that we have left. So we have just about 30 seconds for those of us who are still working. 30 seconds to go. And the time is up. All right. So what was your score? Adriana, what was your score? All right, 70. Anyone got higher than 70? Okay, 77. All right. What's the highest? Who got 80? Oh, Keisha, awesome. So the highest score is 80. All right. Being that it's your first little mini activity there, right? I think you all did well. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So now I'm going to allow you to watch a video, right? So you're going to watch a video, hence you have to pay attention, right? You have to pay attention. And when you watch the video, you're going to see how it is that the writing, the use of the metaphors, how it can come alive, right? Why is it important? So as you watch the video, focus on these things. Some of the examples, right? Why is it important in writing? How to use them, when to use them, right? So place your attention on this video. So I'm going to allow you to watch this video. All right, I'm going to, right, the screen is bigger, awesome. So let's go.
Metaphors. So what are metaphors? Well, a metaphor states that one thing or an action is something that it literally isn't. So let's look at some examples. Dave is a bad apple. Well, we all know what that means, but Dave isn't literally a bad apple, so that's a metaphor. His critics are just squishable ants, so he can just brush them aside. So he doesn't care about his critics, but this is presented as a metaphor, saying that his critics are squishable ants. Well, clearly they're not literally squishable ants, so it's a metaphor. The ground was covered in a blanket of snow. Now, a blanket of snow, it's not literally a blanket, so that is also a metaphor. Her words had a bite to them. Now, clearly, words don't literally have a bite, so that too is a metaphor. So they're not always in the format something is something that it isn't. Sometimes when words are used non-literally, that can also create a metaphor. So why should you care about metaphors? Well, metaphors are used to create mental pictures. They're far more common in creative writing than they are in business writing. So here's some examples of metaphors creating mental pictures. So conscious is a man's compass. Your conscience isn't literally a compass, so it's a metaphor, but you can see how your conscience guides you like a compass. All religions, arts and sciences are branches of the same tree. Well, they're not literally branches of a tree, so it's a metaphor. These waves know when you're off balance. Clearly, waves don't know things, so the word know here is not being used literally. That makes it a metaphor. You've given me something to chew on. Well, you could literally have given somebody something to chew on if you'd given them a toffee, say, but you've given them an idea or some advice, then this would be a metaphor because it's not something you literally chew on. It really means to mull over or think about. The rich man had a cold heart. Again, the word cold here creates a metaphor. His heart is not literally cold. So let's carry on looking at why metaphors are important. Well, metaphors are useful for spicing up your writing. Look at this first example. We can jumpstart innovation among the workforce. So the word jumpstart has not been used literally. It's what you would do to a car, but it's far spicier than something like to improve. Next example. Please write a protein-rich one-pager for the CEO's back to work pack. So the metaphor protein-rich, there's no actual protein in the one-page document you're going to write. It's just a more engaging way of saying something like executive level. So please write an executive level one-pager. No, protein-rich. Get all the important stuff on there. Metaphors can also be used in business writing. And providing you use them sparingly, they can be memorable, impactful. They can be used for emphasis, and they can even make you look confident. They can also be used to clarify your stance on an issue. Plan A is throwing the pilot out of a stricken aircraft to make it lighter. Now, Plan A might be something complex, but this metaphor makes it clear you think Plan A is counterproductive. Here's a bit more about why you should care about metaphors. Metaphors can aid understanding. They're good for explaining new or complex ideas by relating it to something familiar. So look at this example. Our physical being is the hardware of a computer. Culture is the operating system. So it compares culture to the operating system, the thing that makes it work, the thing behind it all. Metaphors can be memorable and impactful. We must throw a party on our homepage. Now, this is a more visual and memorable way of saying our homepage needs to be more interesting. Let's throw a party on our homepage. But be careful, because metaphors can sink you as well. Overusing metaphors in business writing can portray you as flippant or dull. Like I said, metaphors are most commonly used in creative writing. Now, we can't talk about metaphors without talking about similes. Now, a simile is a comparison of two things, usually using the word as or like.
All right, so we're not
So let's
touching on
compare
that,
some.
right?
She is.
We are not touching on similes. So what do you notice there? What have you learned from this video? All right, so it enhances your writing. Anything else you realize? Right, so they're saying, go ahead again, Alexandria, I'm not hearing you. So it is used to create what? Mental pictures, yes? Awesome, it spices up with the writing. All right, so I'm going to allow you to rewatch the video, right? I'm going to allow you to rewatch this video clipping. So let's go again. Listen carefully.
Metaphors. So what are metaphors? Well, a metaphor states that one thing or an action is something that it literally isn't. So let's look at some examples. Dave is a bad apple. Well, we all know what that means, but Dave isn't literally a bad apple, so that's a metaphor. His critics are just squishable ants, so he can just brush them aside. So he doesn't care about his critics, but this is presented as a metaphor, saying that his critics are squishable ants. Well, clearly they're not literally squishable ants, so it's a metaphor. The ground was covered in a blanket of snow. Now, a blanket of snow, it's not literally a blanket, so that is also a metaphor. But words had a bite to them. Now, clearly, words don't literally have a bite, so that too is a metaphor. So they're not always in the format something is something that it isn't. Sometimes when words are used non-literally, that can also create a metaphor. So why should you care about metaphors? Well, metaphors are used to create mental pictures. They're far more common in creative writing than they are in business writing. So here's some examples of metaphors creating mental pictures. So conscious is a man's compass. Your conscience isn't literally a compass, so it's a metaphor, but you can see how your conscience guides you like a compass. All religions, arts and sciences are branches of the same tree. Well, they're not literally branches of a tree, so it's a metaphor. These waves know when you're off balance. Clearly, waves don't know things, so the word know here is not being used literally. That makes it a metaphor. You've given me something to chew on. Well, you could literally have given somebody something to chew on if you'd given them a toffee, say, but if you've given them an idea or some advice, then this would be a metaphor because it's not something you literally chew on. It really means to mull over or think about. The rich man had a cold heart. Again, the word cold here creates the metaphor. His heart is not literally cold. So let's carry on looking at why metaphors are important. Well, metaphors are useful for spicing up your writing. Look at this first example. We can jumpstart innovation among the workforce. So the word jumpstart is not being used literally. It's what you would do to a car, but it's far spicier than something like to improve. Next example. Please write a protein-rich one-pager for the CEO's back to work pack. So the metaphor protein-rich, there's no actual protein in the one-page document you're going to write. It's just a more engaging way of saying something like executive level. So please write an executive level one-pager. No, protein-rich. Get all the important stuff on there. Metaphors can also be used in business writing. And providing you use them sparingly, they can be memorable, impactful. They can be used for emphasis, and they can even make you look confident. They can also be used to clarify your stance on an issue. Plan A is throwing the pilot out of a stricken aircraft to make it lighter. Now, Plan A might be something complex, but this metaphor makes it clear you think Plan A is counterproductive.
All right. So any questions, read this? Do we have any questions, any concerns? All right. So let me stop sharing my screen with you, right? So again, we're dealing with figures of speech, and in particular, we are looking at metaphors, right? And just to remind us, well, just to shed some light of to this, that a figure of speech is really a word or a phrase that possesses a separate meaning from its literal definition. So again, take this off. A figure of speech is a word or phrase that possesses a separate meaning from its literal definition. All right. And when we talk about metaphors, in simple terms, we're really comparing two things without the use of like or as, right? So just before, any questions at all? Do we have any questions, any concerns? No? Yes? All right, so let's go back to our chart. Now, before I give you any activity, what have you learned about metaphors? Anything? All right, so as was said earlier, it is used to create mental, you said a mental picture. So I'm just gonna write creates mental picture, right? Creates mental picture. Anything else? All right, so it is used to spice up your writing. Yes, it is. All right, so spice up writing. Anything else? So you realize that the use of the metaphor is really important, right? It aids in understanding. Yes, it does. So it aids understanding. So it can aid understanding, that is. TANDING. All right, awesome. Anything else? No? Yes? So now we're able to do a little activity, right? So for your activity, what I want for you to do for me, you're going to go ahead and you're going to quick write a poem And with this, you're going to incorporate metaphors, right? So you're quick writing a poem. I'm giving you about 5 minutes to do this task. And then you remember you're quick writing a poem and you're incorporating metaphors, all right? So it can be anything of your choice. And for your assignment, you're saying you have a question, Daniela? Right, so for the activity, as I was saying, Daniela, you're going to write a poem, right, of your choice using metaphors. So it's supposed to be like a quick write. You're thinking quickly, yes, and writing quickly as well. For your assignment, you're going to write 6 sentences that showcase the use of metaphors. Any questions, any concerns? No, yes? All right, since there are no questions, no concerns, then I'm going to say bye for now.